there at this point. The steering high pressure ridge is backing off into the Atlantic, and there's this little upper level low that has settled in over top of this. You're looking at vorticity, a sort of spin in the atmosphere. It's that area near Cuba that sort of cuts out almost like an S shape. That little dip in the southern branch of the jet stream, the little upper level low, is going to give this that start to kick to the north, to start to work its way northward. And then as it continues to turn to the north, I like to think of these just as sort of think of a ball going down a stream. If nothing else acts on it, it's just going to keep going in that same direction it starts in. But if something does grab it and move it the other way, that's when it's going to start to move. So this is the European forecast model, and it continues on that northwesterly track until it gets to about the western end of Cuba and towards the Keys. Then it's going to feel what's going on in the northeast, which is this diving trough, this big old dip in the jet stream that's going to grab the center of it and begin to turn it more to the north, and it's going to feel the pull of that. So the question is, as far as landfall is concerned, exactly where is the storm when it begins to be lifted to the north and east, because that will determine exactly where it makes landfall. The European, as we'll go through in just a moment here, shows the center coming in much closer to southwest Florida because of a stronger trough, because of a quicker turn to the north, whereas the GFS forecast model has that trough a little bit weaker, it has the turn occurring a little bit later, and it shows the storm going, well, in this latest run, much further out into the Gulf of Mexico, eventually feeling that tug of the trough and moving in near Apalachicola or the Big Bend. So again, there's still quite a bit of uncertainty in that forecast. What is fairly certain at this point in time is that Ian is going to gain strength. As we talked about, you're seeing that upper level outflow, a sign that this is starting to get its act together, to stack itself vertically. It's getting away from the wind shear that has been hindering it over the last couple of days. You see where the red is, that's that northeasterly wind shear it's been dealing with. It's going to move into a pocket where there's basically no wind shear whatsoever as it moves south of Jamaica. And along with that, you see how the model plots track this, right on over that very deep warm water. That's going to be rocket fuel for this system. It's going to allow it to really gain strength very, very quickly. So every model you look at, basically, and this was the 6Z runs, just about every model you look at shows fairly rapid intensification with this, all the way up to category 3 to a pocket where there's basically by 72 hours. By the time we get to Monday, and this is crossing out of the Caribbean on towards the southeastern Gulf of Mexico, we're likely talking a major hurricane, exactly what the Hurricane Center has in their cone forecast. There you go. By Monday into Tuesday, crossing Cuba, 2 a.m. Tuesday, so late Monday night, early Tuesday morning, a high-end Category 2 hurricane. And then from there, like I said, tracking its way toward the coast of Florida as in all indications, major hurricane. It's important to remember, too, models over the years have gotten very, very accurate in depicting path forecasts. We have a high level of accuracy in the path forecast for hurricanes. There's still something left to be desired in intensity forecasts, in particular, models picking up on the process of rapid intensification that we've seen over the last couple of years. So that's something we're going to be watching for closely here. When you see the Hurricane Center already putting out this far out a Category 3 hurricane, you know they're looking at those indicators that say this thing could ramp up in intensity fairly quickly. So we basically have the two main global models, the European and the GFS, putting out what I think are the two most likely scenarios here in Southwest Florida for impacts. And from here on out in this video, I'm going to focus in on Southwest Florida, coming to you from Fort Myers, and the impacts that could occur here from that. Generally speaking,
Live from ABC7, this is More in the Morning.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us here on More in the Morning. I'm Vanessa Bohannon.
And I'm Jeff Harris. We're bringing you team coverage again this morning with ABC7's Lacey Lee and ABC7's Gage Goulding. They're going to be out in the field this morning getting us more on what is happening at construction sites. There they are right now. And also how you can get sandbags ahead of Tropical Storm Ian this morning.
But first, we turn to team coverage here in the studio with meteorologist Jesslyn Ferenc and meteorologist Jim Dickey. Jim, what do you have for us this morning?
Yeah, sure. Well, I have the latest on Tropical Storm Ian from the National Hurricane Center. It's a little bit stronger this morning. That's what we'll be seeing throughout the day here. Ian is really going to take off intensity-wise, I think, in the next 24 to 36 hours. I suspect by the time I'm talking to you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., this will be Hurricane Ian. 50-mile-per-hour winds moving to the west-northwest at 12 miles per hour. You can make out the clear swirling now to the satellite presentation, what we call a spiral band setting up with the center right about there. Now, Ian has been sort of slow to gain latitude. It stayed on more or less of a westerly track through much of the day yesterday. And with that, when you look at the cone of concern, and I'll show you the models here in just a second, there has been quite a shift in the last 24 hours. Just about every model shifting north and westward with the forecast landfall position now favoring more areas north of Tampa and towards the Panhandle versus us here in Southwest Florida. Now, there's still wiggle room in that forecast, of course, and you can see why we're watching this so closely. Category 4 hurricane, forecast by the National Hurricane Center. By the time we get to 2 a.m. on Wednesday, moving through the eastern Gulf of Mexico, 140-mile-per-hour winds at that point in time. There's 2 a.m. Thursday. And remember what the cone shows you, that the center could be anywhere from out here in the Gulf of Mexico to over us here in Southwest Florida. But I do think it's important to note, at this time, due to the shifting of the model data in the last 24 hours, much of Southwest Florida now finds ourselves out of the cone of concern. That includes the entirety of the area south of the Caloosahatchee. It suggests that the chances for a landfall here, a direct hit here in Southwest Florida, have definitely decreased in a big way. But that doesn't mean we necessarily will escape impacts from this storm. In fact, the closer this gets to us, the more severe those impacts are likely to be. Remember, that cone doesn't show you the wide-ranging impacts from a storm. In fact, a large storm like Ian is likely to be can have impacts well outside of the cone. So we're going to be diving in this morning what we can expect with some different scenarios that could play out. We'll have a full dive into Ian coming up in just a couple of minutes.
Jim, thanks. We're bringing you team coverage this morning as we continue to track what is still Tropical Storm Ian. But first, we're going to get we already did all of that. So first, we're going to toss it out actually to Lacey Lee this morning as people around Southwest Florida prepare for impacts from what is now Tropical Storm Ian. Construction sites in Cape Coral are a major concern for any strong winds that may be coming our way. ABC7's Lacey Lee is live at a construction site on Santa Barbara Boulevard this morning, getting us more on who's responsible for making sure loose ends don't end up in your home when a storm comes through. Lacey, good morning.
Good morning, Anissa. Now, when you think about construction and any kind of a storm weather, you know, the two words don't really go together, especially when you take a look at 2x4s like this. Now, the issue is these pieces could turn into projectiles. Now, I want everyone to take a look at this home in Southwest Cape Coral. There's 2x4s laying around in a pile of plywood on the roof. Many are asking who is responsible for cleaning these places up so the loose wood doesn't end up in your window. Lars Mason says the city of Cape Coral is notifying builders they need to do it soon.
So it's important that it gets cleaned up. It's not fun to have the new construction material flying into your screen or pool or yard.
Now, Manson says the city of Cape Coral is giving contractors until the end of the day, Monday, to get these places cleaned up, or they will have to deal with code enforcement. Live in Cape Coral, Lacey Lee, ABC7.
Lacey, thanks. 6:04 this morning, President Joe Biden has just approved an emergency declaration for our state. That means FEMA's federal emergency aid has been made available for Florida to supplement the state, tribal, and local response efforts. This comes after the governor declared a state of emergency this week as well. That means millions in aid and other resources are available just in case we need it. It also puts the Florida National Guard on standby.
Preparation starts with a plan. So here's a question. Is your generator ready? A lot of Southwest Florida residents, they have them, but they haven't used them in months. ABC 7's Brianna Fernandez is getting us more this morning on what you should be doing to make sure that it's ready for use.
Well, we were preparing for this since yesterday when we saw the track of the storm.
Ricardo Uribe isn't the only one with this idea.
You always want to be ready. Never wait last minute.
That's the exact message I heard from most businesses I spoke with, many working nonstop in preparation for a potential storm.
The phone's been blowing up.
And that's because people want to know, is right now a good time to put shutters? Well, don't worry, we went straight to the experts.
Make sure to use their shutters regularly to make sure they'll work in case when the storm comes. If installed incorrectly, the electric, then it could be a fire hazard.
Another fire hazard that you should check on, generators.
Check it periodically, get it out now, clean it off, make sure the oil is good, make sure the gas is clean.
Once you get that done, experts say to keep the generators outside, not near a window, vent, or a door.
Do not try to use it in your garage or certainly not indoors. It must be outside, well ventilated.
While you're out shopping for your hurricane kit, follow the safety tips to keep everything running smoothly.
Just be safe, everybody, and take precautions.
We posted a full list of do's and don'ts on our ABC7 website. In Lee County, Brianna Fernandez, ABC7.
Right now, there are no evacuation orders, but several cities across Southwest Florida, they're doing what they can to help the community prepare. So Matt Lachey and Pine Island Fire, they will have sandbags at Station 1 in Bokeelia today. City of Sanibel, they will have sand available at the recycling center today as well. That's from 8 until 4 o'clock, but you have to bring your own bag. Also, the Sanibel Police Department is also extending their hours today to issue hurricane re-entry passes that will also begin at 8 o'clock and run through 4 o'clock.
There are also sandbags available at the DeSoto County Road and Bridge Department in Arcadia from 8 a.m. to noon today. Now, the Florida Department of Emergency Management says they are anticipating moderate to major flooding of Peace River and Horse Creek. DeSoto County is advising residents in low-lying areas and flood zones this morning to anticipate flooding and suggest getting family to higher and drier areas until water levels return to safe levels.
All right, this is really important. Take out your smartphones right now and download our ABC7 Hurricane Guide. All you have to do is open up the camera app on your phone, scan the QR code right here in the bottom right-hand portion of your screen. Then just click the link that drops down from the top. It will take you to a go-to guide for in-depth information on the tropics. Now, this is all put together by our ABC7 First Alert forecast team, and they're able to update it 24/7 so you can get the most up-to-date information on the weather, obviously including everything here with Tropical Storm Ian.
Not sure where to get the best and latest information on Tropical Storm Ian? Coming up, we're going to tell you where you can download the ABC7 weather app, so when we know, you know.
And that app is definitely going to be your best friend over the next couple of days. We're going to be updating it every single day. But of course, you want to know what the weather is going to be like as Ian continues to push closer and closer. But also, we got to go over what the forecast is going to be like today as you start getting your home prepped for potential impacts as we head into next week. I'll be breaking down the forecast that's coming up after the break.